Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Saturday, November 23rd, 1 a.m. Mountain Time, 2019. The GFS model showing heavy snow as we approach winter. Now remember, it is still fall, and there really hasn't been a fall pattern in North America. And we're looking at event after event after event, dumping snow in ways we haven't seen in decades prior to winter. And if you stick with us, we're going to talk about Terry Rempel and his false predictions of the Cascadia megathrust happening in the next 6 to 8 months. Now, the architect has been working on a new logo for our channel. And this is the 5th iteration, and I believe to be probably the final product. I need your comments below. Keep calm. It's boom time. Plan now. 3 big storms could snarl Thanksgiving travel. According to AAA, 55 million people are expected to take to the roads, rails, and skies during Thanksgiving week. But 3 big storms could slow your roll to grandma's house. Do keep in mind that Thanksgiving is a week away and the forecast can change. But now, here's an early look at what you could expect. Over the weekend, a storm will lash the east. Heads up, Raleigh, Charlotte, Atlanta. It's coming as low pressure swirls off the Delmarva. Friday, showers and storms stretch through East Texas, Louisiana, much of the Southeast. There could be airport delays in Houston, Memphis, and Jackson with 1 to 2 inches of rain possible. Saturday, rain continues to push east, bringing rain and snow to the Ohio Valley, heavy rain to the southeast. But the afternoon rain starts moving to the mid-Atlantic. There could be airport delays in New Orleans, Atlanta, Nashville, Charlotte, D.C., and Philly. Rain of 1 to 2 inches possible. Sunday, this is your fun day. Rain continues for the Northeast with snow for portions of the Ohio Valley and west of I-95. Airport delays will include D.C., Philly, New York, Boston. Holy macaroni. Winter weather outlook. Fasten your seatbelts. There are higher than an average chance of half a foot or more of snow from one storm. And that's the norm. This is St. Louis misery. When it comes to forecasting what sort of weather this winter will bring, there's science, and then there's folklore. And then there's Al Gore. Shut up, Al! I knew if I mentioned you, get in your hole! One of the patterns meteorologists look for is driven by water temperatures in the central Pacific Ocean, along the equator. If the sea surface is cooler than normal, it's referred to as La Nina. Warmer than normal sea surface temperatures lead to El Nino. These changes in the water temperature usually last several months and can drive the weather patterns that impact all of us. In typical El Nino years, extreme cold weather is limited, with the polar jet stream spending much of its time further north and an active Pacific jet keeping the deep south cooler and wetter than average. If cold air happens to be over us, the southern storm track can spread a wintry mess into the region, but we often miss the storms as they slip by to our south. This is St. Louis, by the way. What we're looking at this year is neutral. No El Nino, La Nina. And what that means is heavy snow, especially in a grand solar minimum pattern at solar minimum, as we enter a grand solar minimum, as we enter the next glacial period, and as the magnetosphere wanes. Cosmic rays are king, clouds will be increasing, and snow will be falling. Overnight storm drops 10 inches of snow atop Aspen Mountain to help with Saturday's opening day. It looks glorious. Crews work to clear the Aspen Pedestrian Mall Friday morning after an overnight snow. Opening day got a little sweeter as we showed up on the tweeter. dropping 10 inches of snow to the top of Aspen Mountain and setting the ski area up for a top-to-bottom skiing for its opening day Saturday. And that's today's first boom, which doesn't even exist. There it is. Holy macaroni. Keep calm. We're getting there. I mean, we have such a high budget here. You can only imagine. Predicted light dusting in Pikes Peak region. Underestimated storms wallop. We're going to be talking about the fact that meteorologists can't even predict the weather tomorrow. It happened here today. It was snowing when I woke up, and I was like, wait a minute. The model said sun. Already this winter, forecasters have swung and missed a few times, predicting heavy snow in the Pikes Peak region only to see a few flurries. But on Thursday, it was the opposite. Unexpected light dusting turned into a major regional disruption. When 6 inches fell and plunging temperatures turned wet streets into sheets of, well, Al Gore's worst nightmare. Yes. The global warming goodness coming once again to an unpredicted area near you. Now, if you're epileptic, I'm sorry. This is never loaded all day. Snow falls in parts of New Mexico. 4 inches of snow falls at Ski Apache. That's in New Mexico, by the way. Ruidoso, New Mexico. Ski season at Ski Apache is coming up. The ski resort opens to the public as the screen goes blue and black on November 29th, according to their Facebook post. And it looks amazing. Look at this. This is like, it won't even blow up. Is it going to do it? Are we going to get there? Just let me get a little dab in here. Look at that. That's a snow-making machine. That's snow behind it. So clearly this snow didn't come from that machine. Shut up, Al. Bundt cake free tonight. Coastal rain, inland snow Sunday. A nor'easter brings stormy conditions Sunday with rain at the coast of the most and snow further inland in Maine. It's insane. Do they actually speak in Maine? Do they know what's going on?
No, I don't know either. I know that's common now. Here's a look.
I wish I knew what just happened there. What the? I had this parsed and it didn't even work. Well, screw those pricks. Another nor'easter is on track to impact Maine on Sunday. Storm track is important when forecasting nor'easters in general. And here's your not-so-sunny Sunday. Burlington, Vermont, New Hampshire, central New York. Snow is on your radar. And the not-so-sunny Sunday, which is your fun day. Hello! Southern Maine, it's insane. Bangor, you're going to get banged. Inland, you're going to get hurt. Portland North, holy macaroni. You might have to, well, take a look. There's the freeze line and other stuff. 3 to 6 inches in the blue regions. We're going to get there. More snow. What's headed to East Tennessee in WVLT's winter weather outlook? Looks like snow. Knoxville. Well, I guess you're going to get snow there. We have 455 tabs, and I didn't even read that article. Winter outlook. Winter weather outlook for Syracuse. The News Channel 9 storm team is forecasting slightly above normal snowfall, 125 to 140 inches in Syracuse for the upcoming winter 2019-2020, with near normal temperatures, which will mean that many people will still believe in global warming as they get buried in the global warming goodness. Now, if you want to know how they put the forecast together, we just talked about it. It's about that non-El Nino and non-La Nina. It's the neutral pattern. And the neutral pattern, well, let's just talk about it. In about 15 of 20 of the last neutral patterns, they've gotten heavy snow in the Northeast. And not only that, 13 out of the 20 years with snow of 130 inches or greater when they had wet Octobers. And this October up in the Syracuse region was the wettest ever recorded. You know what that means to Syracusans? Holy macaroni. Time to pack that. Joe's Weather World. Winter mix. Snowy risks later. This is Kansas. They don't even know what's going on in Kansas with the weather. They're worried it's going to snow a lot. Now, let's get back to the lack of forecasting knowledge from these meteorologists. Explaining Denver's surprise snow Friday morning. If you read this article, it's like low pressure, high pressure, and they show pictures of this fraud and SpongeBob. Look at that. And sometimes we know what we're talking about, and other times we're like, oh my God, and then and we don't even know and then they don't know what's happening tomorrow. But pay your taxes because you're burning up and it's all your fault. They have no idea what's happening with the weather. How could they ever know what's happening with the climate? Snow and moisture hinder area crop harvests. Now, we know historically that as the sun shuts down, harvests shut down as well. And this has been happening worldwide. But no one is putting the pieces together. It's almost like, well, I can't even tell you how simple the math is. But Rock County farmers, 15 to 20% of soybeans, unharvestable. 25 to 30% of the corn is still out in the fields, and it will never come in. This is in Wisconsin. It's going to continue to snow there, until the spring. Don't eat romaine lettuce from California's Salinas Valley. Don't eat anything from the Salinas Valley. Move out of that valley. Officials say it may be contaminated with E. coli, a dangerous form that has sickened 40 in 16 states. Why would you do it? Boom. Take a look at these models. Sunday, fun day. Most of the activity up in the Northeast, bringing heavy snow to southern regions of New Hampshire and Vermont. And then Maine's going to pick it up through Monday morning. Up to 7 or 8 inches of snow in these regions. And then the first pattern moves into the west. Look at that. Bringing much needed snow to the mountains of Oregon. Look at that. Several feet predicted. As it builds and the storm moves south and east through the entire Rocky Mountain front, bringing us our second blast of winter and our third blast and our fourth blast and our fifth blast. And by the end of the blast, we're going to be buried in 4 feet of snow, as well as 40 states in the U.S. Prior to winter, buried. UK snow forecast, coldest winter in 100 years as 3-month sub-zero freeze hits Britain. Britain is facing a possible 3-month big freeze amid warnings extreme Arctic conditions could see this winter. Among the hardest in the past century. It's almost like a legend. The legendary legend of legends. Sub-zero air sweeping from the polar regions will send temperatures plummeting to minus 10 C, 14 Fahrenheit this month, with snow threatening to blanket the nation until February. In case you didn't know how I did that. Kids in Finland commuting to school by bicycle and sled in snow at negative 22 degrees. And you think it's bad. Get a grip. England floods and the sheep. Climate change. The sheep bought the climate change. Now, this is coming from Cap Allen over at Electroverse. Anyone who has seen the pollution plumes and waste piled high in the cities like Rome and Naples may be surprised to hear that Italy is bearing the torch in the fight against climate crisis, where they want to tax you for CO2 while the oceans around Italy are filled with plastic. In fact, the local fishermen in the Mediterranean harvest more plastic garbage than fish these days. But I digress. You better pay your CO2 tax because we're all going to die on the plant food. That's about, I don't even need to read any more of that. Switzerland, why am I speaking? Anyway, Switzerland busts its all-time November snowfall record set back in 1959. Heavy early season snow has buried parts of the mountainous Central European nation of Switzerland. As the reported Swiss channel, the country's all-time November snowfall record has just been broken. And ski resorts such as Safri and Saint-Cloud have been completely cut off. Oh my God, I might rip my cheek out tonight. Could be a thing. Inside the media conspiracy to hype Greta Thunberg. Now, we've been reporting on her boyhood home over in, Scandinavia. It's being pummeled with snow. And if she's back home, she's definitely saying, Mommy, I thought Al Gore said we're going to burn up. Why is there so much snow out front? Well, have you heard that more than 200 media outlets and journalists partnered together? Yes, with crony capitalistic money activists to coordinate and hype climate change news before the 2019 UN Climate Summit. Can you believe that her trip in a carbon fiber yacht was actually propaganda? I mean, can you believe that? I would have never guessed. Now, the project raises questions about whether journalism is actually independent or it's controlled by just 6 multinational corporations. Let me think about that for a minute. Oh! My head just popped out of my... Maybe Diamond was right. Maybe Diamond changed his life 10 years ago to fight Monsanto for a reason. These crony capitalists, they got us. Hook, line, and sinker like a twinker. Now, what most climate change alarmists miss is the science. And it's right here. The missing link between cosmic rays, clouds, and climate change on Earth. And we are at a conjuncture of multiple events. The grand solar minimum, the sun shuts down. The magnetosphere wanes during those times, and more cosmic rays come in. Second event, magnetic excursion or reversal. Same thing happens. As the magnetic field wanes, the magnetosphere wanes. More cosmic rays. More cosmic rays plus more cosmic rays equals that many cosmic rays. And even from a lukewarm alarmist like Roy Spencer, and I quote, the most obvious way for warming to be caused naturally is for a small natural fluctuation in the circulation patterns of the atmosphere and ocean to result in just a 1 to 2% decrease in global cloud cover. Clouds are the Earth's sunshade. And if cloud cover changes for any reason, you have global warming or global cooling. Times 2, said this guy. We have a lot to go here. A lot. 8.7 ideas in earthquake prediction. Now, before we get to the meat of it, and what I mean by meat is Terry Rempel and this garbage that some people are calling a white paper. Now, I don't know why they're calling it a white paper. But if you Google white paper, it's supposed to be an informative source of information based on facts to warn the general public about some idea. And we're going to get to why Mr. Temple's schmaper is not a white paper unless it's toilet paper, because that's often white. Seismic update. No quakes of note. No one is injured. But let's get back to, let's worldwide volcano news update. There are no volcanoes currently erupting that we need to worry about. None. But let's get back to Mr. Terry Rempel and earthquake prediction, because he's predicting the Cascadia rupture zone to fault in the next 6 months. That's bold. He even, I watched a video today, predicted that it will it will rupture at a 10.5 magnitude earthquake. That's how insane Mr. Rempel is. Let's talk about earthquake prediction in general. Now, earthquakes are notoriously difficult, if not impossible, to predict. But over at quakewatch.net, and if you're an observer, we now know that there are certain signatures in the subsurface for the larger quakes, 7 mag or greater. And this has to do with telluric currents and the connection with the Birkeland current up through our northern regions where the aurora comes in. So the ionosphere and the magnetic universe, electromagnetic universe, connect through our planet. There's a dipole up top. It comes out through the equators. There's a magnetic field. Now, it's these electrical impulses from space and the deviation from the norm that trigger major quakes. Nothing else that we know of. In fact, all the major quakes, 8 and 9 magnitude, have been triggered cosmogenically, usually due to a solar polar reversal. At that moment, that flexure, a switch clicks, and there's the big boom. So solar polar reversals cause major quakes. Nothing that Mr. Temple talks about, but we'll get to that. So I don't even want to go into earthquake prediction. You can read this article and you can realize how to predict earthquakes. There are pre-quakes, pre-shocks. There is deformation, crustal deformation that we will know about because we have altimeters in places and we'll see the earth coming up and down. We'll have animals going crazy. We'll see electromagnetic signatures. We also might see increased volcanism and other things. We will see something. And there's evidence of seeing something before major quakes worldwide. But what I've just told you that we know of is that solar polar reversals in the magnetic field trigger major earthquakes time and time again. Now, according to Terry Rempel, and the people that claim that this is a white paper, a white paper doesn't start on the second sentence with "in summary." It would start with an abstract. But I don't want to rip apart this paper because it's almost like a book report from an 8th grader. He goes on to claim hundreds of things with no sources. There are no references. There are references, but there's no references to everything that he uses to claim that there's going to be a major mega thrust fault in Cascadia in the next 6 months. He says that there's these hot spots all over the place that are increasing, but no one else in the volcanism or in the geologic community has seen them but Mr. Rempel. He's the only one, and he gets all his data from Volcano Discovery, which is a travel site to take people to volcanoes. And he said that when Volcano Discovery stopped showing the hotspot data, he knew he was right. But yet he doesn't put any of the data in his quote unquote, which is a very big unquote, white paper. Not only that, I actually watched an interview that he just did on Marfugel News. Sorry, Marfugel, but you put an idiot on your channel, by the way. And this guy starts to talk about how he knows about solar science. And he knows that solar storms are heating up the magma under Cascadia. Solar storms. Did anyone tell him we're in the deepest solar minimum ever in human history? Did anyone tell him that? No. Did he research it? Probably not. Because he said out loud that solar storms are going to cause this earthquake, this megathrust, solar storms, because they're heating the magma, when it's exactly the opposite. The exact opposite is going to occur. I know I have it. Damn it. Where is it? There it is. I mean, we've been sharing this paper for 2 years. As early as 2011, explosive volcanic eruptions triggered by cosmic rays. That's solar minimum. That is not CMEs and solar flares. That's the opposite. That is a solar shutdown when the cosmic rays rain in. Coronal holes. The exact opposite of what Mr. Rempel claims, who is a fraud, by the way. There is no reliable technology to predict earthquakes. And is a 10 magnitude earthquake possible? Mr. Rempel claims that 10.5 is going to happen in the next 6 months on this rupture zone. Now, according to Richter himself, who invented the scale, it's possible.
Richter scale. Richter scale.
Terry Rempel, do you know about the
Richter scale. Richter scale.
Are you confused by the
Richter scale.
Do you even know the math about the
Richter scale.
I doubt it. Links will be below. The so-called Richter scale, or Richter magnitude scale, more accurately but informally Richter's magnitude scale, is for measuring the strength and size of earthquakes. It's mathematical. I mean, it's M sub L equals log 10 A minus log 10 A to the O, some shit equals log, and all that crap. It blows your mind. And the largest earthquake ever recorded is 9.5 magnitude on the Richter scale, by the way. I'll leave you links to all this below. But what was I getting to? In theory, yes, you can have a 10 mag. 10.5 mag, you're obviously a psychopathic douchebag. But I won't even go there. Did I just go there? In theory, yes, you can have a 10 mag. 10.5 mag, in theory, no. But it's extremely unlikely to even have a 10 mag, because a 10.5 magnitude would be 50,000 times stronger than a 10 magnitude, because it's a logarithmic scale, which Terry Rempel does not understand. He doesn't understand anything about geology, but he understands everything about scaring the shit out of you and people liking him. So, in theory, yes, a 10 magnitude is possible. 10.5 is impossible. But the Richter scale is based on the size and dimensions of the fault and the area displaced. So each fault zone, we can conclude specifically the maximum magnitude Richter that's possible from the maximum displacement, from the maximum fault on that zone. Like California. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, computer models indicate the San Andreas Fault is capable of producing an 8.3. That's crazy. That's big. And that's a big fault. And probably the area with the most catastrophic potential in North America is the Cascadia Fault Zone. which I give Terry Rempel 100% props for identifying. But every geologist knows that. And this fault zone runs about 60 miles offshore along the Pacific coast from Northern California to Vancouver Island. And it's very close to major cities like Portland, Seattle, and Vancouver. And this fault, one of the biggest faults in the world, is capable of unleashing an earthquake with a magnitude up to 9.3. Now, a 10.5 would be like 120,000 times greater than the actual earthquake that this fault is capable of. So any of you who believe Terry Rempel are living in a fantasy world, because there is no evidence that any of this is possible. He's a paramedic, and his evidence, which he does not cite, well, is not evidence, because he just said there's hotspots in Volcano Discovery, a travel channel, remove them. So I know that they know what I know, that it's going to be a 10.5 in the next 6 months. But there's no evidence of that. The Cascadia fault has been rupturing every 300 years or so. And we are in a void. So it will rupture in your lifetime, probably. In the next 10 years, it will probably go. But we'll have precursors. We're going to see an uptick in the rupture zone, in the Juan de Fuca plate, in the regions offshore. It won't just be 5.4 magnitudes. There'll be a 6.2. There'll be a group of major 5s. Altimeters will be changing. We'll see swelling. There'll be precursor events in the volcanic zone. Now, the last time we went into grand solar minimum during the Dalton, 8 volcanoes in the Cascadia region awakened. And that was because the muons were being heated in the subsurface due to cosmic ray influence. So we'll see that first. And if we see that, then we may have an uptick in the potential for an earthquake there. But the Cascadia rupture zone can go at any time. It's not a question of if, just when. But there is no evidence it's going to happen in the next 6 or 8 months. And the entire paper that Terry Rempel has is basically garbage. It's a fairy tale that he made up. Which is why I thought it's important that we discuss this. Now, you want to know about some facts? Come over here to CascadiaOffshore.org. Earthquake and tsunami early warning on the Cascadia subduction zone. This is a real white paper. See it here? See his white paper? Because it's based on facts, science, and information. On a monitoring system and a feasibility study for an offshore geophysical monitoring network to warn the public. And they would only have a few minutes, maybe a half an hour. But they're analyzing all existing offshore data, conducting modeling studies to help constrain the requirements for effective earthquake and deformation monitoring. They're watching all the tiltimeters, all the seismograms, everything. There are so many hundreds of eyes on this, except the paramedic Terry Rempel. He sees the signs. He might as well have an end of days sign on his... Anyway, you know what's going on. There's the mission statement. Links will be below. Explosive volcanoes are caused by grand solar minimums. Solar minimums. Cosmic ray flows, not solar storms. Mr. Rempel. North Dakota says Keystone oil spill was 10 times bigger than first reported. Wow. Imagine that. Boeing rolls out the Starliner passenger spacecraft, which could feed hundreds of millions of people per person seat. And you know what happened? It blew up. The rocket that's going to take these rich pricks to space blew up when they did a test. Cosmic Greg did a video on it. Green's Greg Allison. It was awesome. Elon Musk's $90 million a seat rocket blew the Now, no one's put the pieces together that this rocket is what that Starship, yeah, the Starliner, this is the cone of that rocket that blew up. Hello, 90 million a seat. Well worth it to watch those pricks turn to ashes. Dr. Congo measles, nearly 5,000 dead in a major outbreak. Are you waiting for the pandemic? Are you preparing? New map shows the strange terrain of Titan. Yeah, there's life up there. Now take a look at this. Take a look. It's awesome. I put my down payment in because when I saw this truck, I was like, what the? It's amazing. It has a 230-mile range. It self-charges from the sun. Can tow 7,000 plus pounds. It's made of stainless steel, and it has unbreakable windows, according to the reasons why I put money down on this truck. I reserve mine. Thank you, Tesla, for losing almost $1 billion in market cap, you pricks. And you frauds. I know you're selling shit as your rockets blow up and your... Anyway.
Tesla breaks the unbreakable. Shares are falling after a disastrous reveal of its latest vehicle. It's called the Cybertruck, an electric pickup meant to compete with the Ford F-150 and perform like a Porsche. All opinions on the aesthetics aside, things started to go wrong when Tesla tried to prove the truck's windows were made of, quote, unbreakable glass.
Oh my God. Well, maybe that was a little too hard.
Should we try the beer?
How is that even funny? That's a scam. That's like a tin can for 50 grand. Sorry, Tesla, but you're not getting my money. House Judiciary Committee. I just did it. The House Judiciary Committee approves bill to end the federal marijuana prohibition. Chin chin. We're in. I'm surrounded by dozens of pounds of most incredible cannabis that you could grow, and I'm allowed to. It's all around me. If you stop by, I'll give you an ounce. In a 24-10 vote, the House Judiciary Committee approved a bill that would effectively end marijuana prohibition on Wednesday. The Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement, or MORE Act of 2019, H.R. 3884, was introduced by House Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler. I love him. I don't even know who he is. It has 55 co-sponsors. Boom! Can you believe it? It's happening. And they wanted Snowden dead. And he's still around. Things are changing. The narrative is shifting. Censorship is becoming big. But I believe that at LeakCon 4/4/20, we're going to reveal a way to stop this censorship. Stop it. That's all I can say. There could be something we're developing that actually gains leverage to those providers like YouTube that want to censor us for what we say and make them think twice about what they're doing. I hope I piqued your interest. Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein, and the crucial new witness. Unpublished photos show the Duke of York and his pedophile friend in New York during like a 5-day weekend. Come on. Dozens of people. Epstein threatening him in a park where there was a clearly a setup for a picture to incriminate him. Look at his face. Look at him texting. Epstein had everything on this prince, and he was pissed. And yet he stayed all weekend while Woody Allen and his teenage daughter wife went in and out, and other questionable people came in and out all weekend. I mean, this isn't even a conspiracy. This is just a cover-up. Tell me if you like the new logo. I love it. Thanks to all of our new Patreons, all of our supporters, and all of our haters. Please share this video. If there's one thing you do in your entire life, go out on a limb. Share knowledge.